4:30 on Monday. Today's briefing, or this afternoon's briefing, I should say, we'll start with the big numbers. Today is a good news briefing, so we'll start with the big numbers. The Elbow has just stopped flowing over the Glenmore Dam. It is no longer cresting over the dam. This just happened. It means that the flow rates on the Elbow River are now entirely within our control. The flow in the Elbow River below the dam remains at 160 cubic meters per second, but we're now in control of that flow. So we can tell you that we will be holding that flow there for the next 18 hours. The flow in the Bow River below the Bearspaw Dam, again, still under control, remains at 720 cubic meters per second, and we expect that too will hold for the next 18 hours. That means that the flow below the confluence in Inglewood, what I call the Alderman Craw flow, is at 900 cubic meters per second, and it'll be there for, again, the next 18 hours. Now, a lot of folks are asking, why is it that the water tastes or smells different than it normally does? It's because there's a lot of disinfectant in it because of the volume of organic matter in the water. It is entirely safe. It's not bad. Nothing is wrong with it. And you should feel free to drink tap water, as I have been doing, whoever's bottled water this is next to me notwithstanding. There is a cup of tap water there.
I'll take that, your worship.
There we go. It's all right. The tap water is entirely safe, but we do. The cup in front of me is entirely safe. I didn't really mean to have a prop. But we are asking people to conserve water as much as they can, and that message remains unchanged, and that will remain unchanged for some time. Big news. Big news. You see the map behind me? This time purple is good. A large portion of downtown has had power restored. The area that has been re-energized and open to the public is west of 2nd Street Southwest all the way to the Bow River, as well as a little piece of an area north of Riverfront Avenue between 2nd Street Southwest and Centre Street. So essentially everything between the tracks and the Bow River west of 2nd Street is now fully open to the public. And those buildings have been energized. That doesn't mean that every single building has power. A small number of individual buildings may still be without power if the building managers have specific issues that they are looking at. But this is big news. Very, very big news. This also means, by the way, that we now can allow the public access to the Peace Bridge. Prince's Island is not open to the public. Prince's Island is not open to the public, and it will not be open to the public in the very near future. But this means that we can allow business tenants to return to assess possible damage to their businesses. Before, we were only allowing the owners in. The tenants may now come in a number of these buildings. The area is not yet fully cleaned, so still be careful. There's silt, there's debris on the roadways and sidewalks. Be very, very careful. In addition to all of those buildings, I can share with you that buildings outside of the zone, which have direct feeds from ENMAX, also have power, and the building tenants can now return for the inspection. Those buildings are, so many people are going to be so happy to hear this list. The Harry Hayes Building, the BP Center, Sun Life Plaza, Towers 1, 2, and 3, the TELUS Tower, 411 1st Street Southeast, 5th Avenue Place, the West and East Towers, Encana Plaza, TransAlta Place, the Suncor Energy Center, and Bow Valley Square Tower 3. That's big news. These are much of the largest towers in the city, and I'm thrilled to announce that they have reopened. Again, they've reopened for the building tenants to assess damage. We're still encouraging employers who have workers within that buildings to stick to essential staff only for the next day or two, because again, we still have access problems to downtown, and we want to make sure that the tenants are able to fully assess any impact on their business. But that is big news, folks, and I'm very, very pleased to be able to announce it today. Now, in your home, for those who are still without power in their homes, there is a very specific process to get power back, and it's important that people understand what that process is. ENMAX representatives and city inspectors are going door to door in your neighborhood. They must investigate every single house. You must be home to allow them in to investigate. If you were not home at the time they came by, they will not be able to restore your electricity. In that case, you must contact 311 by phone, by email, or using the 311 app to request an inspection. If you were home and you cleared the inspection, once everyone on your block has cleared the inspection, and I'm using block loosely, it's not necessarily one block, but once everyone in your immediate area has cleared the inspection, you'll all be energized together. This may take a bit more time, but once you've cleared the inspection, you're on the list. Now, if you did have damage, if you did have water in the basement above the electrical outlets, then you will have to find an electrical contractor to repair any potential damage before you clear the inspection. And we are asking people to take on that responsibility. However, the NMAX inspectors will be able to help you figure out what you need to do. I feel like I talk a lot about safety. And it's right that I talk a lot about safety because we need people to work with extreme care. Stay away from the riverbanks. But in particular, I want to say here that we don't want to create more accidents as people move back into their homes. And I may have said yesterday that I don't believe I have to say this, but I will tell you that fire and EMS had to respond to a call for carbon monoxide issues because somebody ran their generator indoors. Don't run your generator indoors. Don't run your pumps indoors. Make sure that you are not only running them outdoors, but that you're venting well away from the house. I will tell you, I have some details on the situation, the EMS fire situation. It was in the community of Roxborough, 12:30 p.m. 4 adult males taken to the Rocky View Hospital with significant levels of carbon monoxide exposure. It's non-life-threatening. They're going to be fine, but they're not having a very good day. So let's make sure that you are running these pumps and generators outside of your house and that they are venting far away from your home. Don't forget, if you don't have power, your carbon monoxide detectors may not be working. So you want to be very, very careful about that. I need to let everyone know that the Calgary Fire Department and the Calgary Police Service, my colleagues there, are doing a second round of assessments to ensure that all Calgarians and communities where people have returned is medically safe, that everyone is medically safe. That means they're going to be going to every single door. If they don't get an answer, and if there are no signs of life in the house, they may have to call in a locksmith. They may have to break in. So if you're not home, but everybody is okay, this is very important. If you're not home, well, let's just say if everyone in your house is okay, regardless of whether you're home or not, if everyone in your house is medically safe, I need you to put a sign in your window that says medically okay. All right? Medically okay in your window. That'll save a lot of time for our colleagues at the Police Service and the Calgary Fire Department as they're going door to door. We need to make sure everyone is safe. But put that sign that says medically okay, and that'll save everybody a lot of time. So, you know, this morning, I've told you before how amazing the volunteer turnout was this morning. So one volunteer said at McMahon Stadium, this is Calgary. You ask for 1,000 volunteers, you get 5,000. Thank you, Calgary. We will have some information on more formal deployments of volunteers and how you can register, but there's nothing stopping you from helping a neighbor. If you see people cleaning out their basement who could use a little help, go help them. If you see people who could use some assistance in yard work, go help them. That's our spirit, and that's how many hands will make the work light. And I'd like to repeat what I said about that this morning, which is during the emergency, we got a lot of adrenaline. People are united around the fact that there's an emergency, and don't get me wrong, we're still in an emergency. But in the weeks to come, many of our neighbors will be in a lot of pain. They will have found that their homes are damaged. They will have found that things that are precious to them are gone. Maybe those things are gone forever. That is a lot of pain. And so we need every one of us to make sure that when our neighbors, who are our family after all, are dragged down, we are lifting them up. We're lifting them up with our hands by helping do the work. 20 people can clean a basement a lot quicker than 2 people can. And we need to make sure that we are helping them out with our spirit and making sure that they know that their community loves them and that their community is looking after them. That's really the core thing that we all need to do to band together now. For my colleagues who work at the city, I just want to say that if you've been affected by the flood, for updates, check the blog, calgary.ca, calgarycitynews.com. Check your email, check with your supervisor, check. If you're working on the flood, keep coming to work. But business continuity plans have been activated. Connect with your team to find out where you'll be reporting for work. I should ask, Mr. Stevens, there you are. Is he here? He was here.
He may have had to leave.
Do we have locations on the customer service counters that will be open tomorrow? Okay, we'll brief that at our next briefing, but we will have a number of customer service locations open where people can get the services that they normally get at City Hall. Mr. LeBray, do I have a photo?
I do. It's the first at the top email in the box.
One moment. I have to share one little story with you, and I will do that right now, which is, as you know, I have been blown away over and over and over again by the incredible generosity of all Calgarians in this work. But I got to share one with you. I'm a politician after all. How could I possibly avoid the opportunity to show this to you? We have people, Calgarians, large and small, doing incredible work to help their neighbors in our community. And you will see in a moment, really you will, see in a moment.
You just clicked on your worship.
Some of the youngest ones doing that work. These three young people today in their lemonade and cookie stand have raised $127 for the Red Cross. No, I take it back. I bought a lemonade. They have raised $142. 52. Oh, you bought one too. Okay. Those are very expensive lemonades. They have raised $152 for the Red Cross, sitting out on their front lawn in the community of Crescent Heights. As always, the spirit of Calgary shines through with everyone, even our smallest citizens. And that is it. What have you got for questions?
The rest of downtown in terms of repowering that?
Getting there? Honestly, we give you this, you give you an inch, you want a mile. We're continuing to work on it. I'm actually very, very pleased, and I'll get Chief Burrell to come up and give you some more timelines, but we're very pleased. This is a huge, huge portion of downtown that's been reopened. We've got more to reopen in the area immediately east of the opened area, and as you get further east, particularly when you get to City Hall and east of there, we might be a bit longer, but Chief might have some better numbers for you.
So, sure we can. One moment, please. For those of you that are here for the briefing at 6 a.m. this morning, we had looked at the number of properties in Zone R, which is the map that was up earlier. And we had estimated between ourselves and NMAX that we would have the power on for 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's 10 to 5 in the afternoon. We're very, very pleased with the progress, but this, of course, was the easier area to do because there's less water damage and flood damage in this end of the downtown core. We are now moving further east and have already started. So the crews that we're working on getting that portion re-energized and doing the inspections in those buildings have already moved. We will continue to work in the downtown core until daylight ends, which is roughly 10 o'clock tonight. So we'll accomplish as much as we can on the next section by 10 o'clock. We'll be back there again early tomorrow morning, continuing to work. I believe that we should be able to, unless we hit something unforeseen, get the next section of downtown east, which I do not have the description of, open tomorrow. But opening up downtown is going to be a multi-day event. It's probably going to take the next 2 to 3 days. Now, we've been very lucky. MX has done a ton of work ahead of time, prepping, where they've gone in, they've pumped out all of the undergrounds, and they've used a fair bit of compressed air in drawing things out to make sure that the utility service itself is able to provide power to the buildings. What we haven't done is energized the sections, because if we energize them prematurely before the building owners get an opportunity to go in and assess the damage, if any of the transformers are still underwater and the basements haven't been pumped out and the switches were not turned off when the buildings were evacuated, if we turn the power back on and we blow the transformers in the building, a lot of those transformers and switching equipment takes 6 to 8 weeks to get replacements for. So what we're trying to do is avoid causing any further damage to any of those structures. So it is going to be a very deliberate process. We ask the cooperation of building owners and operators that when we send out areas and say this is the next area and geographical area we're going to be working in, please come in and assess your building. Please come in and assess your building. You need to come in, you need to assess it, you need to determine what equipment you need to get there to dry things out and pump things out so we can get those buildings re-energized.
Remember that the buildings that we've opened in the grid are now open for owners and tenants. They're not necessarily open for every employee, and we're still encouraging people not to go to work. We're encouraging employers not to have people come to work for the next day or two. And we're encouraging employees to not go to work until you've been cleared by your employer and by that building owner and that building tenant. We need to wrap up, but I will just say to all of you that I got to spend this afternoon a couple of hours spending time with many, many of my city colleagues across the city. In the various operational centers. You know this emergency operations center. What you may not know is it's replicated in different places across the city. With fire and with police service, I should say. Haven't made it to fire yet. That's the next one. But I've been to the police service. I've been to the transit operations center. I spent some time with the hardworking folks at 911 and 311. You may not see these people every day, but they are the backbone of what we do. And the work that they're doing during this flood is work that they do every single day. Answering phones, scheduling people, making the buses run, keeping us all safe. I always knew that I had amazing colleagues at the City of Calgary. I always knew that. But man, oh man, have they proven that over the last 4 days. And once again, on behalf of all the citizens of Calgary, I just want to say thank you, and we're really proud of all of the work that you're doing. All right, thanks all.